1. Who was Mr. Chips' first headmaster at Brookfield? Mr. Chips' first headmaster was Mr. Weatherby. 2. Why did Chips dislike Bernard Shaw? He disliked Bernard Shaw for his strange and shocking ideas. 3. How old was Catherine Bridges when Chips met her? She was 25 years old. 4. What impressed Catherine most about Chips? His gentle manners and simple nature impressed her. 5. Why did Chips prefer summer to winter? Because he suffered from cold in winter but felt healthy in summer. 6. What punishment did Chips give Major Collingwood in his school days? He punished him for climbing the gymnasium roof. 7. What books were kept in Chips' room? He had classical books, history, detective novels, and Bell's Letter. 8. Why did Chips avoid modern women? He considered them strange, bold, and frightening. Chapters 5, 8. 9. What advice did Catherine give Chips about discipline? She advised him to be kind and humorous with the boys. 10. How did Catherine's death change Chips? It made him lonely, sad, and emotionally broken. 11. When was the new hall built at Brookfield? It was built in 1900. 12. What was Chips' reaction during big school events? He felt excited and often became humorous. 13. How did Chips become more confident in teaching after marriage? Catherine encouraged him, making him confident and lively. Chapters 9 to 12. 14. When did Chips retire? He retired in 1913 at the age of 65. 15. What gifts were presented to Chips on his retirement? He received a check, a writing desk, and a clock. 16. How did Chips spend his life after retirement? He read novels, drank tea, wrote letters, and corrected the directory. 17. What was the status of Brookfield during Chips's old age? It was a good school of second rank. 18. Why was Chips called a pre-war? Because he opposed war, which killed many students and friends. 19. Who was Forster? He was the smallest boy Brookfield ever had, killed in 1918 at Cambria. 20. What did Chatteris read every Sunday night during the war? He read out the names of boys killed in the war. Chapters 13 to 15. 21. Why did Chips call scientists stink merchants? Because they invented bombs causing destruction and smell of chemicals. 22. What happened during the air raid on Brookfield? The building shook and loud explosions were heard. 23. Why was Chips against war? War killed many of his friends, colleagues, and students. 24. Why did Chips' jokes become famous? They were witty, harmless, and loved by all students. 25. How did Chips maintain discipline in class? Through kindness, humor, and gentle authority. Chapters 16 to 18. 26. What was the main point of Chips's will? He left his property for an open entrance scholarship. 27. Who was Mrs. Wickett? She was the landlady who looked after Chips in his old age. 28. Who was Linford? Linford was the last visitor who said goodbye before Chips' death. What were Chips's last words? He said that he had thousands of children, his students. 30. How did Chips die? He died quietly in his sleep, dreaming of his students. Why did Brookfield staff think Chips had no children? Because he never married again after Catherine's death. 32. How did Chips contradict them? He said his children were the thousands of boys he taught. Extra important of a great jester. People laughed even before he began speaking because of his famous jokes. 34. What two things had Chips never done in his life? He had never traveled by air and never attended a talk show. 35. Who was the smallest Brookfield ever had? Forrester. 36. What was the horror of the bombing? There were loud explosions and the whole building trembled. 37. How did Chips react to the sounds of war? He remained calm but felt sorrow for the boys dying on battlefields. 38. What kind of teacher was Mr. Chips? He was devoted, humorous, and beloved by students. 39. Why was Chips respected by students and staff? For his honesty, gentle nature, and long service. 40. How did Chips keep the Brookfield tradition alive? Through his teaching style, discipline, humor, and memories of old boys. If you want more Class 12 board exams, have more short questions and answers. 1. Why did Chips faint on the gymnasium roof? He fainted because he caught a cold and became weak after climbing the roof. 2. Why did Chips dislike modern teaching methods? He believed they lacked discipline, tradition, and human warmth. How did Chips treat new boys at Brookfield? He welcomed them kindly and made them feel comfortable with jokes. 4. What kind of discipline did Chips prefer? He believed in gentle discipline based on humor and affection. 5. What did Chips see in his dream at the end? He dreamed of his students singing and calling him with love. 6. Who built the new school hall? Mr. Weatherby had it completed during his time. 7. How did Catherine influence Chip's teaching style? She made him more confident, lively, and humorous. Number 8. Why did Chips not join the army? His age and weak health prevented him from joining the army. 9. What was Chip's favorite food item? He loved walnut cake and crumpets soaked in butter. 10. How did Chips become popular among students? Because of his jokes, kindness, and simple behavior. 11. What was Chip's opinion about politics? He disliked politics and avoided controversial topics. 12. Why did Chips take attendance slowly? He wanted to make jokes and create a friendly start to the class. 13. What was the color of Catherine's hair? Her hair was straw-colored. 14. Why was Chips called old-fashioned? Because he followed traditional teaching, dressing, and manners. 15. What happened to Chips in 1913? He suffered from bronchitis and retired from teaching. 16. Why did Chips stay at Mrs. Wickett's house? Because it was cheap and close to the school. Number 17. What was Chip's biggest habit after retirement? Reading detective novels and making corrections in the school directory. 18. What did Chips consider himself? He considered himself a true Brookfieldian. 19. Why did Chips enjoy his old age? He enjoyed memories of past students and school events. 20. What did the boys give Chips on his birthday? They gave him flowers, cakes, and greeting cards. 21. Why did Chips love Brookfield? Because he spent his whole life teaching there and made lifelong memories. 22. How did Chips greet the boys? He greeted them warmly with a smile and sometimes a joke. 23. Why did Chips become emotional on Founders Day? He remembered old students who had died in the war. 24. How did Catherine die? She died during childbirth along with her baby. 25. Why was Chips respected after retirement? Because he represented the school's history and tradition. And 26. Why did Chips keep a bell in his room? To call Mrs. Wickett whenever he needed help. 27. What was Chips' favorite subject? He loved teaching Latin. 28. Why did Chips attend school events even after retirement? Because he felt connected to Brookfield and its boys. 29. What type of jokes did Chips tell? Old-fashioned, harmless jokes that made everyone laugh. 30. What made Chips proud during the war? The bravery and heroism of Brookfield boys. Need more? I can send for Class 12 board exams. These answers are exam-length, well-structured, and easy to learn. Nash important long questions and answers. Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Class 12. Describe the character of Mr. Chips. Answer. Mr. Chips was a simple, gentle, and kind-hearted teacher at Brookfield. He was not brilliant, yet he was deeply devoted to his profession. His teaching style was traditional, but full of humor, which made him very popular among the students. He had great love for Brookfield and served it for over 40 years. His personality grew more confident after his marriage to Catherine. Chips loved discipline based on kindness, not fear. In his old age, he became a symbol of tradition and was respected by everyone. He died peacefully, dreaming of his students. Overall, he was an ideal teacher who touched thousands of lives. What changes did Catherine bring into the life of Mr. Chips? Answer. Catherine completely transformed Mr. Chips' life. Before marriage, he was shy, strict, and old-fashioned. She encouraged him to be friendly, confident, and humorous in class. Her wisdom and love made him kinder and more understanding with the boys. She also helped him see life in a broader way by discussing social issues and new ideas. Chips became lively, cheerful, and more effective as a teacher. Even after her tragic death, her influence remained in his heart and guided his behavior. Catherine's presence brought color, happiness, and purpose to Chips' life. Write a note on Mr. Chips as a teacher. Answer. Mr. Chips was a devoted and respectable teacher. Though not extremely brilliant, he taught with sincerity and passion. His classes were filled with jokes, stories, and gentle discipline, which made him loved by generations of students. He never lost his temper and handled mischief with humor. He believed that teaching was a sacred duty and lived his life according to school traditions. Chips created a friendly bond with students and remembered them even years later. His long service made him almost a living history of Brookfield. As a teacher, he was an ideal example of patience, love, and dedication. Describe the death scene of Mr. Chips. Answer: the death of Mr. Chips was peaceful and touching. As he lay in bed, he heard the sounds of a school choir singing in final harmony. He felt as if he were going to sleep after a long, satisfying life. He dreamed of his students, past and present, calling him with affection. People around thought Chips had no family, but with his last breath, he declared that he had thousands of children, all the boys he had taught. This statement showed his deep love for students. His death symbolized a noble teacher's lifelong devotion. What were the effects of the war on Brookfield and Mr. Chips? Answer: the war deeply affected Brookfield. Many old boys joined the army, and several died in battles. Every Sunday, names of fallen students were read aloud, causing grief in the school. Air raids shook the building and created fear among the boys. Mr. Chips also felt sorrow because he had known many of the boys personally since childhood. However, he remained calm, courageous, and helpful. He resumed teaching temporarily to provide stability and encouragement to the boys. Although Chips disliked war, he admired the bravery of Brookfield boys. The war showed his strength, patience, and leadership. How did Mr. Chips spend his life after retirement? Answer: after retiring in 1913, Chips moved to Mrs. Wickett's house near Brookfield. His life became peaceful and comfortable. He spent time drinking tea, reading detective novels, and correcting the Brookfield directory. Boys visited him often, and he enjoyed talking to them. He attended school functions and kept himself involved with Brookfield traditions. Even in old age, he maintained his humor and kind behavior. His room became like a small historical museum of the school. Retirement gave him rest, respect, and the love of generations of students. Write a note on Catherine Bridges. Answer: Catherine Bridges was a charming, intelligent, and lively young woman. She had blue flashing eyes, freckled cheeks, and straw-colored hair. As a modern thinker, she believed in women's rights, social justice, and progressive ideas. Her cheerful nature deeply impressed Mr. Chips. She transformed his personality, making him more confident, friendly, and humorous. Sadly, she died during childbirth, but her influence remained with Chips for the rest of his life. Catherine added beauty, wisdom, and love to Chips' life and shaped him into the memorable teacher he became. How did Mr. Chips earn the reputation of a great jester? Answer: Mr. Chips earned a reputation as a great jester because of his humorous teaching style. His jokes were simple but very entertaining. Whenever he stood to speak at a function, people waited eagerly for a joke. Sometimes they laughed even before he began. His humor was harmless and brought joy to both students and teachers. Even in old age, he remained witty and cheerful. His jokes became part of Brookfield tradition, making him one of the most loved teachers. If you want, I can also provide